What kind of measurement are you seeing on brand awareness? Is it impressions? Is it the social channels? Is it surveys? What are brands looking for on that consumer side when they do an activation from an ROI standpoint?
I guess the word I use, or maybe that's commonly used, is that amplification side. I think things have changed over the years, like certainly 20 years ago and even 10 years ago. I think on the consumer side, IRL events, call them experiences, activations, what have you, whether it's an owned thing that a brand is creating itself or like a presence at a festival or whatever, a lot of that ROI was being driven by that in-person connection. And I still think there's a ton of value there, but it's harder and harder to justify these huge spends with the number of people that you reach because, IRL is not like a wide net tool. It's not media. It's not a billboard. It's not a radio spot or a TV spot or digital. The whole point is to have these kind of more intimate conversations to get a little bit deeper with the brand itself. There are still instances where the people that you reach in person can justify the spend, but those are your larger events. In my world, that's your Comic-Cons, your South Bys, your Super Bowls, Coachella, all those things where there's going to be tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people at it anyway. Other than that, though, to get down to the question you asked of like what measurement tactics are they looking at, it's really more of those kind of like amplification. Earned media is a really big one. Is there press coverage of this? Because that's quantifiable. Social is another one. How many people posted about this, which can be trackable, but can also be hard to track. Not every consumer who goes to your event is going to post about it with the right hashtag, in which case, how you're going to find it. But that's a piece of it. That's where social influencers become so important because they're almost like the earned media side of things. And a lot of those are paid nowadays, but there's still some earned social out there where you can essentially work with an influencer ahead of time to know that they're going to come to your event. And whether you pay them or not, if they're going to post about it, you know what their audience is ahead of time. And partnerships is the big third one for us, where we're looking at partner channels and who can kind of amplify what we're doing. And sometimes, by the way, our programming partners also become our amplification partners. So an example of that, if we're hosting a party and we're going to pay a DJ to come in, well, we want a DJ that's got 100,000 followers. We might be willing to pay more for that DJ because we know that DJ is going to post about it ahead of time or after the fact. And that's another 100,000 followers in our bucket. One of the kind of tactics that we've had a lot of success with is really curating our events in partnership with other creators. If you think about, let's call it a party, right? There's going to be somebody doing the food. That could be a caterer, it could be a celebrity chef. There's somebody going to be spinning music or a band playing. That could be a regular DJ or a celebrity DJ. Mm-hmm. Obviously, these things cost more money, but you could have somebody designing the space who's performing at the space. Mm-hmm. Is there an artist doing a kick-ass mural in the corner live? Well, that's cool for your on-site experience, but it's also helpful because the artist might have a following that they can post about. So what we'll look to do is like try to get as many different people, entities, organizations, whatever, in bed with us ahead of time so that before this event ever happens, we know we've got a certain return in the social space. Yeah. And then everything on top of that is gravy, essentially.
That makes sense. That really does. It's interesting, the shift. You're saying how like the reach used to be the in-person reach. Now it's the digital reach, amplification after the fact. It's kind of like how content is king. So you're using an events values and things have changed slightly. They're still valuable. They'll still happen. I think there needs to be more meaningful connection at them. It needs to be more engaging. You can't just have the event to have it, but you got to be creating content and creating that, what you're saying, amplification piece for afterwards and during, and having
for sure. And there's events that we do, by the way, that only exist for the content, and usually that's like a video output of some kind. Again, I would say there, though, who's pushing it out other than the brand? I mean, sometimes the brand's big enough, your client might be big enough, but we're always looking for other spaces because they can post on their own social content anytime they want. Now,
Yeah.
maybe if we create something that's awesome, it's going to be better social content than something else they would have done. But the goal, hopefully, is that there's other people who are willing to cover it because the content itself is so compelling or unique or what have you. And that's, yeah, it's a really good point, again, especially in that video capture space. And I think, in our world, again, because we do so much in the TV space, and there is that kind of, like sports, for example, there's that built-in fandom, that whole idea of FOMO is something that we can really tap into. So some of the time that we're creating these events, half of the output is fans sharing and then other fans saying, oh my God, I wish I could have gone to that. That's so awesome. Like there's actually a ton of value in the people who didn't go, who wanted to attend, who couldn't attend or didn't know, hopefully they knew about it. But the point being, like, you can really push people's buttons in that way. And so that's another kind of trigger that we try to pull in terms of, if we're engaging a fan base, it's not just the people who attend, it's that kind of like yearning of people who didn't get to attend is there's value there as well.